My journey was, yes, I love running groups. I love this group. I love that I can take it anywhere and be anywhere. And I was just thinking, I'm proud of this. I love it. And I think other therapists could love it too. I think most of us reach a point where one-on-ones, while wonderful, can feel draining. And how can we mix things up in an ethical way? There's a lot of restrictions for therapists with our license. And this was one of the ways I was like, oh my goodness, maybe other people would love to run a group.
Hi, I'm Kim Tolson and I'm the traveling therapist. It's my passion to teach therapists how to navigate online private practices and multiple income streams so they can travel the world. I'm a digital nomad with a virtual insurance-based private therapy practice and a multi-six-figure coaching business. I'm obsessed with entrepreneurship and developing tools that can help therapists live an adventurous lifestyle. In this podcast, I will discuss my journey as a digital nomad. I'll chat with other traveling therapists and help you navigate the complexities of running an online insurance-based practice. I'm so glad to have you with me on this journey. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Traveling Therapist Podcast. I'm super excited today. I have Amorette O'Brien here with us. We've got some cool stuff to tell you about. She is an LMFT in New Hampshire, and she specializes in working with teen girls. And there's a lot more to it, but I want to just jump into it, let her tell you about herself. And I always start out with, Amorette, how'd you go from being a traditional therapist to a traveling therapist?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me and for the great question.
You're so welcome.
I think a therapist is what I do and I love and I'm passionate about. I think we have the best job in the world.
Yeah.
But I think I'm a traveling person first. Like in terms of prior to being a therapist, traveling is in my blood. We moved around a lot when I was a kid and always in the same like New England area. But I knew for undergrad, I wanted to do something different. So I went to Canada and then I still went abroad to Scotland.
Nice.
And came back for grad school. And then my husband and I went to New Zealand and Australia for about 8 weeks, just backpacking around.
Oh my God. Dream trip.
Oh, it was incredible. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
So I think I've just always kind of had it in my blood. I'm passionate about travel and I'm passionate about being a therapist. And so part of my career and my journey in this career is figuring out, okay, with licensure being dictated by states and managed by states, how do I still travel and help and serve the people I want to?
Nice. I love that. Yeah. So in New Hampshire, what are the licensure? Are there restrictions there? If the client's physically in New Hampshire and you're somewhere else, is that okay? Like clinical wise, or what are the licensing regulations there?
Yeah. So in New Hampshire, we have to be giving and the person has to be receiving therapy in New Hampshire for my license to be in practice. So like a lot of my clients, New England's such a small area. And so a lot of my clients live in Massachusetts, which is fine as long as they come to my office for therapy. But we are not supposed to be providing telehealth to them while they're in Mass, with the exception of like the 2 years when COVID was big.
Gotcha. So. Yeah. Wow. So you as the clinician has to be physically sitting in New Hampshire to see your clients.
Correct.
Wow. See, I've got to write this down because there's very few states that still have that restriction. Like Virginia, right? I can be anywhere. The clinician can be anywhere. The client has to be physically there. But that is like so restrictive. Okay. So that explains a lot. And we're going to talk about like how you got from there, because if you're a traveler and you can't just go and that's so restrictive. Oh my gosh. Okay. Good to know. LMFTs have to be sitting in New Hampshire to see their clients.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So then could you just take us on a little journey? Like once you discovered that, how did that change the way you wanted to do things in your practice and how you wanted to help that population that you specialize in?
Yeah, thank you. So prior to New Hampshire, I did my licensure work at a nonprofit in Connecticut, and I worked with kids on juvenile probation. And I was tasked one year, we had grants from the state with developing a summer program. So creating a group program for kids on juvenile probation.
Wow.
And it was so fun and fascinating. And we went, on field trips, if you will, to college campuses. We went to a bank. They met the mayor. I took them to City Hall so they could learn about the process of voting and all of that.
Oh, cool.
And thank you. I loved it. I so enjoy one-on-one work, but seeing these kids come together too, and there's so much learning that happens at this level with peers, right?
Yeah.
They learn so much from each other. So fast forward, I moved to New Hampshire. I opened up my practice. I feel like maybe it sounds familiar in other states. We don't have enough therapists to serve the need that we have for teenagers here. Mm-hmm. And so there was long wait lists and times, and parents are just looking for help for their kids, which breaks your heart, you need some help.
Yeah.
So I just said, hey, well, I'm going to form this group, and it's Girl Strong, and it's based on life skills from the World Health Organization. And that's important to me as a traveler too, because it's not specific to one group. They're saying, hey, any religion, anyone in any geographical location, these are skills you should have and know.
Wow.
And so I put it all together, and then it's a skill group, not a therapy group. So I spoke to my attorney, and because it's like a workshop, it's not therapy. One, I don't need to do like clinical notes afterwards. And then two, I can deliver it from anywhere. So,
that's amazing. Yes.
So it's so fun because I get to go travel and then still connect and help these wonderful kids. And it's really one of the best parts of my job.
Oh my gosh. I love it. That's amazing. So how big would a group be? Like a cap you put on? Is it like maybe 10 or 8 or something like that in a skill group? Or
so I capped it at 6 just because I felt for me, it's just 1 hour long. And so, especially when we were doing Zooms, I felt like it still gave everyone a chance to speak and have a turn to contribute and give feedback. For me, that number works. So my groups are a max of 6, and I don't run them less than 4.
Yeah.
The way I look at it, Kim, is like, it's a win-win-win because I get to help more people per hour. I don't have notes or collateral contacts because I don't do that for kids in my group. I'm not calling the school or the pediatrician. And it's more money per hour.
Yeah.
Which helps fund the travel.
Yes, it does. And you can see 6, like you said, you can see 6 in an hour and still have the same level of impact, make 6 times as much, and go explore wherever you're visiting that week or whatever. Yeah.
Right. And it's cool because then kids like from Alaska can talk to kids from New Hampshire and from Florida. And so you have kids from all different areas too connecting, which is really great.
I love that. So it's skills based on the World Health Organization, and it's not like, you hear about DBT skills groups or something like that. So it's a little bit different. It sounds like it's just like life skills. Like what are a couple? I'm just curious since we're talking about it.
Yes. So a few of them are coping with stress and emotions.
Okay.
Problem solving and decision making.
Oh, nice.
Positive and honest communication, self-awareness. So it's these skills that, yes, you can just see anyone could benefit from, but especially teenagers that are coming up and forming their identity and learning so much. Their brains are just so open to learning at this stage that providing them with these skills is pretty critical, in my opinion.
Oh gosh, that's amazing. Tell us how you manage it. Let's say you are traveling or you're going to be gone for 8 weeks or something. Would you have 4 or 5 of these going at the same time? Would you just and then, how do you manage it with time zones and, if there's somebody in Australia and all, these are things I just wonder about, especially for somebody traveling and navigating your own time zones. How does that all work for you? I'm just curious, from your experience, how do you do it?
Thank you. Sometimes through trial and error. I did one group that was 8:30 at night Eastern time where I am to accommodate people on the West Coast who wanted to join. And looking back, it was a bit too late because my East Coast kids, we ended at 9:30. And who am I kidding? It was late for me. They were actually probably fine. I was
it's it's bedtime.
Exactly. It's why are we not in PJs? So it was, I think some of it is that trial and error piece. I divide the groups up into middle school versus high school because I think developmentally there's just a huge difference between, a 7th grade girl and a 8th grade girl. And so I divide them up middle school and high school. And then, yes, to your point, I know for some it will not work in terms of if I want it filled with people from everywhere. Well, many kids are in school and with all the different time zones, right? So it may not be a group filled with kids from all around the world because when we're doing it, some have to, or are in school. So part of it is figuring out by location. Like I might have kids on the West Coast, or it might be a bit later one time. And so I think it's getting the information out there.
Yeah.
Putting it out there so parents are aware of it, and pediatricians, where to market it. And then as they come in, I filter, okay, these are the times that work for me. Which of these times will work for you? And then, as you said, I run multiple groups at a time.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. That's so cool. And you still have your clinical practice also while you're doing all this? Okay. Okay. Gotcha.
Yes. As we said, unfortunately, when I'm traveling, I can't see my one-on-one clients, but this is what can be great is I can supplement that when I'm not seeing my one-on-ones, and it's fun.
Yeah. So to everybody listening, most of you guys already know that I'm, multi-passionate entrepreneur. Like I love to have ideas like this and then, expand it, put it out there. Like, how can I also, monetize this cool thing that I'm doing? So that's another thing that really caught my attention, Amorette, when you emailed me about this. I was like, dude, she's doing this. She's traveling while she's doing this, but she's also figured out how to, put it all together for other therapists to be able to do this exact same thing. So I was wondering if you could talk some about that part, like the entrepreneurial part and how you, put it out there. I call it franchising. I guess you franchise this idea, but I'd love to just talk about that process too. One, to help listening therapists, like if they've got an idea and they want to grow and expand it, and make money that way, but also just what is your program in case somebody's like, this is awesome. I don't want to do all the trial and error. I want to know exactly how Amorette's already doing it. And I just want to go buy the whole package. So could you tell us just about all of that?
Thank you. Yes, it was inspired by many, including you. So thank you for kind of being a trailblazer for therapists. Yeah, no, I mean, I think, we don't get into this field for the money, right? Yeah. Or most of us get into this field, if not all, because we have big hearts who want to help.
Yeah.
And we want to help people feel better about themselves or increase their coping skills or whatever. That's why we're in it. And that's why many of us stick in it. But I think it can feel at times sort of restrictive. And so seeing other incredible men and women who are like, no, I'm passionate about this work too. I still love it, but I also want to do other things to kind of feed my soul in addition to this is just inspiring. And it makes you want to figure out ways of doing it. Yes. So again, so thank you for everything you have done for everyone listening, because it is inspiring.
Thank you.
So my journey was, yes, I love running groups. I love this group. I love that I can take it anywhere and be anywhere. And I was just thinking, I'm proud of this. I love it. And I think other therapists could love it too. I think most of us reach a point where one-on-ones, while wonderful, can feel draining. And how can we mix things up in an ethical way? Because there's a lot of restrictions for therapists with our license. And this was one of the ways I was like, oh my goodness, maybe other people would love to run a group, and they might not have time to come up with a curriculum and marketing materials and informed consent. And so what if I say, hey, listen, I have a great program that if you pay for it, it will make you money the first time you run your group. So it's not even, again, fellow therapists, right? You look out for each other. I don't want it to be, hey, run the group for 3 times and then you'll make money. It's nope. The first time you run it, a 6-week group, you will earn back what you paid for the group and still make money. So just get it all together. You can start, you purchase it Tuesday, you could start Thursday if you wanted to. And I just love the idea of other people promoting life skills and girls and girl connection. And there can be so much talk about ugliness within and between girls.
Yeah.
And that can happen, but girls can also make the best of friends. And you bring these girls together and it's incredible, Kim, because it's also, I feel like, less work than one-on-one.
Yeah.
I already have the skills plan, but they just want to chat and support each other. And it's kind of like I step back a bit. It's amazing.
Hey everyone, I wanted to break in here real quick and let you know about a company called Alma. As you may know, I have a variety of resources available to therapists who want to bill insurance in their private practice. I have a comprehensive membership to teach you how to bill on your own, but I also refer mental health practitioners to companies like Alma who can do your billing for you if you don't want to hire billers or do it on your own. If this sounds like the kind of support you need in your insurance-based private practice, consider joining Alma. Get the tools and support you need to manage and grow your private practice, accept insurances, and focus on what matters most, delivering high quality care to your clients. I've shared my personal referral link in the show notes of this episode if you want to schedule an appointment and check them out.
Almost all of the groups I've run, they exchange phone numbers and they go on a group chat. And they'll ask me, Amorette, do you want to be on our group chat? I'm like, no, thank you. No, absolutely not. I don't want any part of it. No, thank you.
Which is even kind of cool because you really could be, because it's not therapy. I mean, you don't even have to worry about that, but not that you want to be, but just you could if you wanted to. Yeah.
You absolutely could. I think there's just a part for me where I'm like, I don't know. Thank you. Just go be your 15-year-old self. Thank you. But no. And yes, no, but they're just so fabulous. My most recent group was in person. And the girls met at Dunkin' Donuts for 1 hour before the last group because they wanted to have like an unofficial graduation. And they ended up coming in and like 45 minutes into the group, they're like, Amorette, this has been so great. We all want to take it again, but can we go home now? It's late. And, we've already been talking for like now almost 2 hours. I'm like, guys, I love this for you.
I love it too, because look what you did for them. I mean, you taught them how to, develop relationships and use each other for community support and schedule a time to meet up. And they're just going to find the value in that for the rest of their lives. Because I mean, girlfriends are like the core of who I am. Like I would not be even doing any of this without my business besties support through this whole thing. So it's like, you're teaching that early to these girls. And it's just amazing to me. I love it.
Thank you. Well, and they're so great with each other and supportive. And it's a beautiful thing to see. So as therapists, again, we get to see incredible work with one-on-one, with individual transitions and growth. And that is so special. To me, equally special is seeing these girls come together and just almost like, Amorette, wait, we'll get there soon, but we're still talking about this. It's like, that's just so wonderful. And they're wonderful. And I feel very lucky to be able to do this work.
Yeah. And it's like you said, I mean, I could see how it would be a lot easier than the one-on-one, because you really, once you establish the rapport and you kind of set the tone for the group, they probably run it themselves in a way, like you were saying. You could just kind of sit back and, interject skills here and there at that point. It does seem like it would be more laid back, and it's not therapy. It's more just hey, let's just talk about how we're going to work on these skills and incorporate them into your life. I think that's so cool.
Thank you. Well, it certainly can make it easier in the moment too, in terms of what intervention should I use today? Because again, it's not individually tailored. It's like, hey ladies, today we're talking about, coping with emotions and stress. We have some fun activities. We're going to support each other. And, but yes, to your point, every now and then it's like, Amorette, we don't want the worksheet today. We just want to talk. I'm like, well, I am being paid though to provide you with the worksheet. So we're also going to be doing the worksheet, but they're incredible and they make my heart happy. So I'm lucky.
That. How often do y'all meet? Once a month or a couple times a month?
So for my program called Girl Strong, we meet once a week for an hour for 6 weeks. And it's a closed group. So, and there's no science behind the closed group. It's just when I was a kid, I would have preferred starting all together and ending together. So I kind of just am doing what would work for me. So yes, we all start together. We all end together.
Nice.
And then lots of girls ask to take it again.
That's amazing.
So I get repeat people coming in again. They're less worried about the worksheet because they're like, I've seen this before. I just want the connection. And I'm like, hey, I don't think it hurts to reinforce the skills. It's like muscle memory. The more we practice, the better we are. So as long as parents are on board, we're good.
That's really, really cool. So Girl Strong, did you decide to make your own? It's like a different LLC or business than your therapy business. Did you separate the two, or how are you managing that?
Yes. So again, so lucky. So just very quick background about me. My parents are retired now, but they were insurance agents. And I come from a family of attorneys who sue other professionals for malpractice. So I am somewhat risk averse when it comes to doing this stuff. That's in my blood as much as travel. And so I consulted with attorneys, and I mean, obviously each state is different and you have to go by your own board and what your ethics say in your profession. But because these are workshops, I don't need to create a different business because this is not coaching.
Yeah.
This is workshops that can fall under my practice. So the money comes into the same account. And yes, I keep everything kind of together, but it just has to be clear in the informed consent. This is not therapy, but again, it's not coaching. It's a skill like workshop, basically.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So important. Do you ever find yourself like slipping into like the clinical role? Like that feels hard to me trying to, or I guess you're just really good at it at this point.
Well, I think again, I think it would be harder for me personally to do a one-on-one session as a coach and not slip into clinical work.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's easier. There's 6 girls chatting. Like it's almost like good luck trying just to get the skills in.
Okay.
I mean, and
gotcha.
So yes, it can be very, like I said, almost educational. Just
yeah.
We're here to support, and then let's learn these skills. Let's see how you would use them in your life, but we're not going deep into their life and all of that. I make it clear to parents, this does not replace therapy. So, many times girls will be meeting with someone for individual support, or maybe they don't, but again, a part is informed consent and just being very clear what this is and what it is not.
Yes. Gotcha. Very cool. Yeah. So in a minute, I just would love for you just to like tell everybody what they get if they wanted to like actually join your program and what, how they could grow their own program. But I'm just wondering, like, while you've been traveling and stuff, has there been problems with like internet connections, like anything you've had to navigate, just like regular traveling therapists would have to navigate, trying to run a business like this that's obviously over Zoom? Have you had any trouble like that, or has it been pretty smooth sailing?
I am so lucky that it's been pretty smooth. And I feel like my kids are just so, very few of them liked online learning, but they're so adapt now to doing Zoom calls or meetings that they're so good. I'm trying to, one person is not, it's not their thing. And we had a moment where they took it in the bathroom, and I think they thought they had like turned off their camera, and they hadn't. It was like, no, just pull that back up. We're not. And yes. So it's fortunately my internet. I almost wish I had gone out at that moment. It's like, let's just shut this down and restart later. But no, fortunately I have been so lucky. I've had good connections. My kids seem to have good connections. We do have to have some rules in terms of, like with the chat. And it's a bit of the honor system, but we're not sending private chats during group, right? Like, so if you want to connect after group one-on-one with someone, that's fantastic. It's only 6 weeks. Hang in there. You can do it. But during group, we don't want like Kim and Amorette to be off talking and having like while Samantha's talking about her stuff, right? Like that's not really fair to Samantha. And so it's kind of rules like that we also just have to have in place.
Gotcha. Yeah. Oh, that's good. Yeah. Really interesting. So, okay. So how does somebody find you and learn about your program and what all does it include?
Yeah. So I think, so many therapists, we're the best at human nature. And I think anyone could put together a group if they want to. I have full faith in my colleagues. They're amazing. Again, to me, it comes down to time sometimes.
Yes.
And if you have the time, or if you want to have the time, whatnot. So if they see adolescent girls, I would not recommend, if you don't see them, just starting. I would do a group for your population instead of just welcoming, because I have a quick funny story about that in a sec. But so with my group, if you go to girlstrong.co, you can find everything that's included. It's the curriculum, it's informed consent. It's in case you're a part of a practice that requires notes, even though it's not therapy or your license. It has super easy to fill out notes, like week 1, the summary for week 1. And you just circle how an individual child did or participated. And I'm trying to think, it has marketing materials. So if you want to send out the marketing materials to schools or pediatricians, gynecologists are a great one for girls because many of them are going for the first time at 16. So they're eager for help. But I do, like I said, you can do it if you haven't seen teen girls, but I do think it's good to have some experience. I did, for the first time ever, a group with littles, Girl Strong, like mini edition. And so it was for, I think they were like 6 and 7. And in my office, it was in person. In my office, I have a plate individually wrapped candy, which isn't environmentally friendly, but I just can't stand the thought of people sticking their hand in like a bowl of M&Ms. I can't do it. So my high school girls who come in will have, 1 or 2 candies a session, and that's it. These girls were like locusts. They saw that bowl. They like descended. They're like, whoosh. And they were like putting it up their sleeves so they could have more for later. They found the sash that I used to refill it. And they were like in there. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get a dental bill for cavities. This is insane. We have, we young kids, girls especially, but anyway, you don't want to comment on eating habits. I remember one kid said to me, she's still eating them. And I was like, okay, well, again, we don't talk about other people's eating because we don't know what their needs are in this. But in my head, I'm like, holy crap, are you still eating this? Just again, not in the sense of, I'm like, you've had like 20 pieces of candy. You're about to throw up. Where's my trash basket? So it was just, I wish the girls were so wonderful. I mean, they'd be fantastic. I wish a camera could have been on me because I feel like my eyes were probably like popped open. Like, one girl started talking about something about her grandfather. The other girl went to a spinny chair and was whipping herself around. It was just
gosh.
It was a very humbling experience.
Yes. Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. How cool. What a cool thing you've developed. Really. I think it's very neat. Yeah. And I was just, I was thinking like for a traveling therapist, I mean, if you're going to be in Australia, for example, for like 2 months, you could technically put a group together out in that time zone, like girls just out in New Zealand or whatever, and run that for 6 weeks while you're there. Like you could do it region to region. If you knew, like me, we're going to be in the Dominican Republic for a while in this winter, so it's like you could really try to specialize these groups around those time zones. Is that, if that's what you needed to do. So that's interesting.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and it's so, I mean, again, working with kids, right? Like we know exactly where to go to offer support. I feel like most kids in the world, well, the CDC has certainly said for the States, like we know there's a great need there. Anxiety, high depression, self-harming. So you just even Dominican Republic, reach out to the main city, let's say Board of Ed, say, hey, I'm running this program. I have this flyer. Please pass it out if you feel it'd be helpful. When you're in Europe, they have a lot of international schools, with kids from all over. So that can be cool too, to say like, hey, I'm running this group. So please, your kids can log on at 6 and we'll get them together with other kids. And we provide these skills because it is funny. Schools do an amazing job. But I saw a bit where someone said, we're teaching them the harmonica, but not the coping skills.
Not budgeting or how to communicate or anything.
Right, exactly. I mean, and gosh, I can't even imagine being in education and the job that they're doing is just,
I know.
It's incredible. It's amazing. But so just in terms of where you reach out to, I think schools, the reason why I mentioned is they're craving more resources as well. They would love to be able to offer their school community additional resources. And so that's one of the first places you can go. And they're usually very grateful for help and assistance.
Amazing. Yeah. I'm thinking of so many ways you could market this thing. I'm sure you've got a million in there for people to give them ideas already. Like I think about the RVers who all homeschool and they're all part of the same homeschool community. It's like, there's just lots of ways to do this, especially if you're even a traveling therapist. I mean, it's such a good niche. I mean, I could see how you could even make this like a full-time kind of thing, if you didn't want to do the one-to-one or you were restricted by a state license. So it's just so creative and amazing. I think that you've put this out there for other people to be able to just like, it's like group program in a box, really. It sounds like you just open it up and you can, like you said, have it running by Thursday, begin it on Tuesday. That's pretty cool.
Well, thank you. I'm very, I mean, you meet a lot of therapists for your podcast, which is so big and so helpful. And my bias is we're the best people in the world, like in terms of such big hearts and you're helping people and usually so understanding and empathetic. And so it's an honor to also be like, hey, if you would like, I have something that might be helpful. There's also a calculator I have, which sounds intimidating, but it's not. And you enter numbers to see how like the impact for income if you added a group to your practice.
Nice.
Or if you switched out some individual sessions with groups, it gives you all the numbers for like how to break it down, what it can do.
Oh, that's cool.
Too.
Yeah. It's got me thinking too, because, the pandemic has allowed a lot of telehealth allowances with, especially with like insurance companies and, how you're delivering telehealth, but that's all ending on May 11th. So this is, a great backup, I think, to have in your back pocket, really, for, who knows what's going to happen with telehealth, but particularly for the traveling therapists, like we don't know, is Blue Cross, because Blue Cross Blue Shield's already telling clinicians they have to be seated in their home state. So there's some changes coming. I don't know how it's going to play out, but
which can be scary for clinicians and clients. I mean, this is not benefiting clients either.
Mm-hmm.
So I know everyone, they're in our thoughts, right? Like in terms of how they will navigate finding therapists, but that's another good thing about groups. Again, there's skill groups or workshops.
Love it.
You can get some help and the therapist can keep working.
I love it. Well, Amorette, thank you so much. I really appreciate this. And one more time, where do they find you if they want to connect with you?
So girlstrong.co is the main website. If you're interested in the calculator, you don't have to be a math nerd like me. It's okay. Like it's super easy. It does it itself. You just enter your numbers and it will pop off. But that's girlstrong.co/calculator. And so that will just give them some insight into how it can impact the number of people they serve and hours that they work without doing those collateral contacts or the note, as well as income.
Love it. Thank you so much. It's been so helpful.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for listening to the Traveling Therapist podcast. For show notes, links, and downloads, head over to thetravelingtherapist.com, where you'll be able to learn more about my journey, the courses I've created for you, and other exciting resources to make your dreams become a reality. If you've enjoyed this episode, please share with your traveling therapist friends, subscribe to the podcast, and if you love this episode, please leave a review.